Hey viewers, Cooper's Automotive. We've got a 2011, actually 2013 Subaru Outback. For some reason, we've been working on a lot of Subarus lately. Hub bearing noise on the front. I think we shot a video of the hub bearing on the rear, which is a little bit different. But I'm going to do this anyway and put it out there and maybe help somebody that may come across this and may be struggling with it. So let's begin. All right, so you got 22 millimeter nut sitting right here in the beginning, on the front of this thing. I'm just going to go ahead and start with that. I'm also going to machine these rotors. So a little bit of noise, so I think they're glazed up, even though the pads are new. But could be that. Could be hard linings. Can cause that sometimes. 32 millimeter, as I said, the center nut right here. If you're doing this at home, you don't have impact, you don't have air. Obviously, you got to figure out some way to stop this thing from turning and break it loose. Put something in between here, maybe, between the bolts against the ground, and that'll keep it from turning so you can break it loose and torque it and do what you need to do. I don't think this thing's in neutral or park, but let's flip the key on so I can turn this wheel a little bit. All right, get that key on so I could do that. Obviously, too, you need to get this CV axle right there out. Let's start with a little punch and a hammer in the center. Let's use a air chisel. Again, if you don't have an air chisel, punch and a hammer. Go dead center right there. She's free. Now you could take the tie rod off to make things turn easier if you want to. Just an extra step, as far as I'm concerned. You could, and a lot of things. You could pull this nut out and the top and bottom strut nut out to access the 4 bolts that are on the back side of that. Now I believe those, I'm going to take that caliper off itself, hang it up here out of our way. 14 millimeter on the bottom. Bolt right there. Now if this doesn't come up easy, which it did, I would push the piston back in just a little bit to make it so that we could have more access and better ease of putting it off and on. Like that. Like that. Get it high enough out of your way. Hang in there, not hanging free. No damage done. Let's get this caliper bracket off on the back. It's going to be 17 millimeter bolts holding that in, and I don't know why I always stumble over the years of cars sometimes, but I do. So 17 mil right in the back here. I loosen them up with that, and then I'll take like this, what do you call this thing? This DeWalt impact to zing them right on out of there. That's what they look like. Oh, and I got hit in my head with the light. This has a rubber pad on the back of this light. If it did not, put a piece of tape over your fender right there to protect it so you don't scratch anything. There we go. So the bracket is off. 2 17 millimeter nuts are out. And one of them I think dropped. We'll find it later. All right, you got to get that rotor off of there. Nothing like a little bit of penetrating oil of some sort. Get in there like that. A couple ways you can do that. Let's try the hammer method, which you might use at home. And you're going to hit it right there and try to vibrate it off. And if that doesn't work, there's another method I'm going to go ahead and show you there in just a second. Let's see. There's 5/16 bolts. I get these out of my steering wheel puller. I think it's coarse thread. This thing's kind of rusty, so bear with me. A 1/2 inch on those. And you should be able to run them in a little bit. very slowly. Just evenly on both sides. You're fighting that rust in the middle of the hub right there. I have seen some that had an O-ring in there before. Once it comes off of the end of the hub right there, you won't need those anymore. Put them back where they go, however you want to do it, and take the rotor off. And I'll take it over to the brake lathe for machining, and we'll cut that rotor in just a little bit. Now you saw this already moved in good. Just want to make sure she's still moving. You got 4 bolts sticking out of that back side. Don't know if you can see them. Going to move in so you can. Right there in the back, or right there behind the hub. It's on the inside edge, back here, that you're going to get those, and it's in between the CV axle. It's a really tight space. So what you're going to do is you're going to have to push this back as far as you can get it. I did it again. I had a big head. Oh, give me a break. Let's pause, put some tape on that. Make sure we're going to be okay. All right, so some packers, packing tape, clear tape, painter's tape, whatever it is. It won't hurt anything to use that. I'm going to try one of my newer lights too, just to see if the magnet is stronger. And I'll try not to bang into it with my head. We got rust. Not much, but we do have some. Again, spray these bolts. The sooner you do it, the better. I just kind of spray around the whole edge of that. I'm going to spray down on the inside of the CV around there. You can say, and a lot of times, like I say, book will say, take out, lower ball joint, tie rod in, pull it forward to access enough room back there. But if you do, that's what you would do. Push it back like that, and you'll be able to squeeze your 14 in there and get it on there. After you loosen them up like that, if you're fortunate enough to have a battery ratchet, take it out so far, and you may have to stop because it kind of gets against your CV axle a little bit, and loosen them up evenly across the board, but pushing on that again with my finger. We're pretty close to all the way out. All right, it's not quite out, but that's okay. We're going to get some of the others. The one up top right here. I like these angled little ratchets. This one's not fine tooth, so it's a little bit stronger for a job like this. Let's squeeze up in there. Again, pushing that out. This one's a little tighter. All right, let's turn the wheel a different direction. Just might give us a little bit more room. There we go. Well, I was on it for a second anyway. Promise it looks like a struggle, but this will work. Let me try another one on the other side. There we go. Make sure my camera didn't get hit. Nothing's changed. All right. Give you a little better picture of those bolts when I get them out and get the hub out of there. right direction, because the noise canceling mic, if it's not, next thing you know, you won't hear me. Hear all the clanking and everything else, but explanations of what I'm doing here. Oh, I'm out of breath. I want to turn it again. No pain, no gain, huh? Pushing in. Got it. Now, it may not get all the way up on that bolt on the back, but enough that you can get it out of there. I'm going to plug a fan in. I'm getting hot. I don't think you'll hear it. Sometimes what can happen if you get it bound up there a little bit and just catch yourself can't go any further, when you knock this loose, it'll pull the bolts closer. And that way, when it does that, you'll be able to get your socket back on there easier. I'm just going to the other side, makes it easier for me to turn the wheel. Let's go after that one right there in the top that I was struggling with. All right, we're going to take a little hammer to get the socket on there tighter. Now it's all the way on, and it won't be slipping off. So a little trick, maybe if you struggle with it, you can do that. Picture of my back and the struggles that I'm going through to get this thing out. My old saying from previous videos way back there is, being a mechanic has taught me a lot of patience. And a lot of other words that I can't say out loud. So I am going to go ahead and try to get this hub to loosen up a little bit. Since we're replacing it, we really don't care if we bang on it. And that may not even work to get it out of there. And sometimes it comes with a whole backing plate. There is on the back of that thing, just being a little more cautious. There is a ABS wheel speed sensor with a 10 millimeter in it, and I'm going to pull that out just to make sure we don't damage it. 10 millimeter, 10. Let's see if I can move it up a little bit, get a pair of pliers on it. May not be able to move it, but I'd rather try now than later. Get my light down here so I can see a little better. All right, there's your wheel speed sensor right there. It goes on the back. Out of our way now. Let's get back to these bolts. See if I got any more room back there. Don't see any. All right, so it didn't move. hitting on it didn't help as of yet. We haven't give up yet though. Turn the wheel sharp to the opening where the caliper is at as far as it'll go this time. If that don't work, there's other options. All right, next option. Okay, let's stop. Go back after our nuts. We may have to use a different tool that I have that you may not have. Let's find out, but I do want to hammer that back on there because I know I can get this one further. I need to get these nuts out as far as I can. If you think that's too much of a struggle, like I said, you could pull out the bottom or the top, what do you call that, top strut. 2 bolts up top, tilt it out and give yourself more room. I did get it further. My socket did come off again. Okay, now here's the thing when that sticks. You might be able to take a punch and a hammer on the back side of that, hitting dead center on the bolt, which will push against this hub right here, and it may take it out of there. I'm maybe blinding you right now with the light, and I'm sorry about that. Didn't see it. Let's get back to that view. But if you have an air hammer, again, you're going to come back here with it. You're going to aim right at the center of that bolt. No movement yet, and you may have to do a couple different places. Okay, so the whole thing's moving with like this backing plate, which is common, it happens to you, but it is moving. So about this time, as you're at home and you're doing this, woohoo, and you're getting mad because you keep hitting your light and the bolt won't come out and it's rusted and it sees, out come the words. Now, swivel socket is a possibility to get up there in a 14 miller. I haven't tried that on this particular one today. Let's give that a shot too, because that may give us some more access to that. 14 millimeter swivel. Just curious. Did I grab a 13 or something silly like that? Let me see. I did. That's a 13. There we go. There's a 14. That's it. This makes a difference. It did. So there you are. Why didn't I think of that earlier? All right, I believe that one's out of there. Socket's a little stuck. All right, got it. Let's work on one more of them. There's this bottom one that I still haven't got out on all the way right there. And then we'll do a little bit more hammer action with the impact. But the further I can get these bolts out, the better. Not quite enough room. The further you can get that axle in, the better too. We get something to push on that. That helps. Don't get old, people. All right, I believe they're all out of there. Now let's see if we can get a little chisel action on this side right here. I like to start them a little bit by hand. Get a lot of movement that time. As I was sharing, the whole thing's kind of coming out of there. Okay, so we got to get the bolts that I started back a little bit off of there. You want to start the bolt a little bit into the threads when you're hitting on the back side of that or whatever you're doing, because you don't want to damage the threads. Remember that chisel I had? Come on, man. Remember that? So close. I think it's because we're on video. It wants to make an idiot out of me. Oh well. I can hear your comments already. Dude, why don't you just take off the strut? Well, I don't want to. Get myself some room there. I promise this does work. I've done many of them like this and it just doesn't want to cooperate today. So that's what I'm struggling with, is enough room to get the socket in there. We're going to go back to a deep well. I keep switching back and forth because it's just what's going to work. I'm not mad yet. Alright, I cannot see what I'm doing. Let me grab my other light without blinding your view and the camera. Let's try to get that in there. Okay, that's the other thing that can happen too, and it does, is you mar the end of the bolt a little bit with that air chisel. When you do that, you've mushroomed it a little bit, and then it's, oh crap, well, sort of. So what you do is you come back with your hammer and your 14 mil, get back on your back side of it, and tap your socket on there. If you don't like beating on your sockets, expensive sockets, don't do that. Get something that's not expensive. Would it be easier to drop that strut now that I'm sitting here looking at this thing? Yeah, probably. We're out all the way right now. All right, let's see if we can get that a little bit further out of there now. How's that camera doing? Oh, this is going to be a good video to show. If everything went smooth and we make it look easy, it wouldn't be true to form. I must have one bolt just a little bit in there. I do that one right there. I don't want you just looking at my back, I promise. You know what I think next time? I'll take a bolt out, and instead of mushrooming the back side of it a little bit, I will put one in there that I don't care about. We're all the way out. This thing should be sliding out of here now. There you go. So that's what we're struggling with on the back side, tight against the CV axle there. But we're out. Backing plate stuck to it. Gonna have to hit that with a hammer and knock it out of there. Let's go find the new hub bearing, and I'm not going to be able to give you a part number because customer supplied part. I think Amazon or something. Well, yeah, I can give you a part number, but I don't know what it is. So here it is. F-5189-S, or maybe it's the 513220. Brand, don't know. China. I'm out of breath. All right, I'm going to stop the video right here. You won't know it. I'm going to go ahead and start machining that rotor while I'm doing this to save time. Okay, now that the cussing brake is over, you're going to clean your rust out of here. You can sand it down a little bit if you like. Again, lubricating these bolts right here so that hopefully they go very freely. My rotor over there has just made its first pass, or its first cut. Let me go check on it. One pass cut on the rotor and she's ready. I just got to do a little prep on that and we'll bring it over in a little bit. Put your backing plate on. Be careful you put it the right direction. The open end toward the side where the caliper goes. Your bolt start it through your tin shield probably is the best way first. That kind of holds things in place. Now there's, on this particular one, the top bolts are closer together than the back. And if you can reach behind there with your hand, a couple of fingers on it, try to get one of them started. I got a couple of them started. Believe me, I don't know how many times I put the backing plate on wrong, put it all together, take it all back apart, be so angry. Start all over again. All right, let's see how many of these suckers we can get run up in there. And actually look through the front, you can see if you're started or not. You're actually going to use these bolts to pull it in. You're going to try to pull it in evenly as you can. And then switch to another one, providing a little more space as you go. Space in between your bolt and your CV axle is what I'm talking about. Those are pretty far in there. Let's start on our bottom ones here. Let's just see if I can get some Milwaukee battery powered ratchet action going here. Trying to reach up over the top. Oh, I love it when a plan doesn't come together, right? So she's pretty close. Looking at that, I'm going to take a break for a second. I think we'll change the name of this video, What Not to Do First. I went ahead and pulled the 19mm nut and bolt out of the upper strut, pulled it back, got us some more room. Let's see how this works. Hey, keeping it real, man. Keeping it real. Let's go ahead and take that out further then. And move that CV axle completely back there. Get them tight, and then we'll center everything back in. Okay. Oh, come on. All right, we have to get a regular ratchet on that one, pull it in some more. We're a little bit sideways, didn't quite get it even. Let's stop, go to this one. Bottom two are being stubborn. The longer I shoot this video, the more I like it. You're gonna love it. There it goes. Big head in the way. Oh, I do not know why those bottom two are so dang tight. The new hub bearing was marred in the bottom or something. Manufactured incorrect. Oh, wow. Don't like it. It's what we got to work with. Okay, top one's going in. Oh, tight. I don't know about you, but I'm tired just watching me. If they all went perfect, it'd be nice, but they don't. Okay, we're tightening that one. That one's tight. Sorry about the back view. That one's tight. And that's tight. Let's take a break, catch my breath. Okay, back at it. I'm going to keep doing that till it drives me crazy. All right, CV axle's kind of started in there. Slid in, there we go. Let's line up our strut right there. That's 19 millimeter bolts and drop the washer. Okay, let's see here. It's not a critical bolt, other than you want it tight. That's the critical part on that particular nut and bolt assembly. We're in. Let's go ahead and put our ABS wheel speed sensor in there, and that 10 millimeter on the back. Let's go ahead and grab our rotor. It is resurfaced. Hub is cleaned on both sides so that we don't have any difference here. Rotor's turned, washed, particularly Dawn dishwashing detergent on this one. I'm going to go ahead and start that nut and do nothing more with it. Now I'm going to go down. I'm going to turn the wheel. Put our caliper bracket on there. And our brake shoes and all that good stuff. All right, reaching around here. I believe these were 17s. I know they were. Get that one started. And grab my little battery impact here. All right, we're going to grab a hand 17 or socket or something. 17 anyway. Let's get this thing tight. Now, we want to grab our caliper that we got hanging up here. Sliding it in. Let's put our, what is that, 14 millimeter bolt in our caliper slide here. $14 some kind of wrench, ratchet, socket, anything. Tight. Never unloosened the top one. I just slid it out. We're in there. It's good. Now, make sure that our backing plate is not bent and touching anything. Push it back, because if it is, you'll be right back. And I heard it a little bit touching. Double checking myself. Now this big bolt right here, do we have a vision? All of that, we do. 166 foot-pounds on that bolt. I'm going to run it in most of the way and stop before it's tight. Right there. Now I'm going to get my torque wrench, torque that thing. You need to stop it from turning. Stick a screwdriver through the vent of your rotor and your caliper. Torque your nut. Now that that's done, don't forget to take your screwdriver out. Make sure that you pin your tab into the keyway slot that's inside that CV axle right there. However you want to do it, a chisel, screwdriver, whatever it is. Come on. Let's flatten it out a little bit. Let me find a chisel will work a lot better. Okay. Then it's torqued. Everything's together. Only thing left on this is to put the tire back on it. And torque the tire. Camera up. All right, there we are. So this is a 2013 Subaru Outback. That's your front hub bearing installation. This is going to call the how not to do it to begin with, and then how to do it from the beginning toward the end. Cooper's Automotive Comedy Hour. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps, and we'll be seeing you soon.